Right, you join me today at Weston Pools on the Jacks Pool, and we've come down to do a bit of fishing for everything really. It's gone a lot milder now over the last few days, and I feel like the fish are coming on the feed. We've just come down to do something on how to catch anything that's in the lake basically. And we're having a good session today. We're catching a lot of skimmers, we've had some perch, a few eyed, a bit of all sorts. Not had any F1s yet, but there's still chances for that. But there's a lot of fish there now feeding in my peg. And what we've been covering is basically how I change my ground baits during the times of year. So all year I've been fishing, well, we had a bite then, all year we've been fishing a lot of crushed expander. Now crushed expander's really good in the winter time when you're drawing single fish into your peg and just trying to use it to a little bit of attractant just to draw one or two fish in your peg. Where today, when it goes mild like this and I feel like there's a lot of feeding fish in your peg, I change my ground bait. I've got one there now straight away, lovely bite that on the drop. I change my ground bait, and what I use is F1 Dark. Now the reason why I use that is because it's got a bit more food content in it. It's also a little bit more coarse as well, some bigger particles in it. So when them feeding fish come into your peg, it holds them there. And it's working wonders actually. I know it says F1 Dark on the actual bag, but it catches a lot of skimmers, and I'm having some good success with it. I did last year when I went to Woodlands first. I used it then, catching skimmers. I had like 40 pound of skimmers every day, and that's what I used basically this time of year when it goes mild. We're into double figures. It's been freezing the last few weeks, but literally when it goes warmer like this, I sort of think about changing my ground bait approach. Now what we're doing today is we're literally just feeding little nuggets of F1 Dark and fishing maggots over it. I've been adding a few micros into my mix, just a little bit more for them to settle on and feed over. And literally all I've been doing really well at the minute, is just hooking single maggot on a 20s prototype hook. That's a matrix hook. We have got some hooks coming out very soon, so keep your eyes out on them. And just fishing that over it. Now what I've been doing as well is I've given myself the option. I like to do this when I'm fishing for anything. It's where you feed your ground bait. So I always feed my ground bait a little bit shorter to where I'm fishing. I just feel like them skimmers especially hang off the back of that feed zone. And if they are you feel like they're getting more aggressive and they are coming into your peg, you can always drop onto your feed as well. But it's so deadly to feed off where you're fishing, just slightly off. So I've fed probably the bottom of my dolly butt back, and I'm fishing on the end of my dolly butt, but I have got that option to drop onto my feed as well. Them bigger stamp fish seem to normally hang off the back of your feed. But what I've been doing is feeding that and just loose feeding the odd maggot over it, and I've just been catching everything. I've had a lot of roach as well, to be fair. I've had a bit of all sorts, but it's good. Just fed like 10 to 12 maggots then, flick your rigging and just sit and be patient. It hadn't been taking long to get a bite. What I had noticed as well why I've been fishing, which happens a lot of the places that I go, is you'll know when you need to top up again. So you'll get a run of like 3 or 4, maybe 5 skimmers, and then it'll sort of slow up your bites and you'll catch a roach. Then you'll give it another go, you'll catch another roach. And that's a sign that you need to just add a little nugget of F1 Dark just to draw them skimmers back into your peg. Now I think there's one on there, I had a lift bite then. I think that's another skimmer. Lovely. It's lovely fishing. Now I want to talk to you how I've been mixing the ground bait up as well. I think this is really important. So when I first originally mixed, a nice skimmer this again. This is just like one of chuck these. Now when I've been mixing my ground bait up to start, with the crushed expander when you're fishing that in the winter, look at that lovely fish. Lovely them, like peas in a pod them here. When you mix your crushed expander up in the winter time, you're sort of like over wetting your mix just because you're trying to use it as a cloud and an attractant. But this F1 Dark, how I've mixed it today, I'll just show you a little bit of it. Let me just up this up here. This F1 Dark, how I've mixed it up today is, I've mixed it quite on the dry side, just because I feel like when you want to initially kick your peg off, you want it a bit dry because you're sort of like attracting the fish into your peg, but it also gives me that option. If I want to, I can just literally I've got a bit of water on my side tray, just add a bit of water and just stodge it up a little bit, just make it a bit wetter to nail it down to the bottom a little bit more. And a telltale sign that you do need to add water and play about with your ground bait is if you start getting liners, foul looking fish, missing a lot of bites. So when you do mix this F1 Dark up at the start, make sure, like some people sort of just over wet it straight away, but you can't take the water out. You can always add the water, but you can't take it out. So that's what I do when I do that. And at the minute, I've been feeding it quite dry. I've not felt like I've needed to add a little bit of water up to now, but it could change during the match if a lot more numbers of fish come into my peg and I start getting liners and if I look a few, I'd be thinking about adding a little bit more water just to try and pin that ground bait a little bit more down on the bottom. But if you have a look at this ground bait, as I explained, with crushed expander, there's literally, it's so fine. If you fed that crushed expander, when it hits the water, it's just a cloud, there's nothing there. But with this F1 Dark, it's literally, you can see all the little black little bits of crushed pellet in it, and I think they're what they come in and just a little bit more for them skimmers and not anything really to feed on. Like I say, the bag says F1 Dark on it, but it targets absolutely everything. It's a fantastic ground bait, this, and it mixes up lovely and smells so nice as well. So that is my go-to bait for this time of year when it goes mild and we're fishing for anything that swims. But also as well, what I think is really important is when you mix your ground bait, mix it in your bucket and just take a little bit out, because sometimes you'll see some people mix all the mix of ground bait, think, right, I'm going to add a few micros to that, chuck some micros into the bucket with a mix. Again, you can't take the micros out. So what I do is I sort of like take like a pint or two out of my bucket of that dry ground, neat ground bait, and then add whatever I want, add an odd maggot to it, add a few micros to it if I need to. And then if I feel like I need to chuck that away, I can always get some fresh out of my bucket. So I think that's important as well. So let's get some more fishing done, because I'm absolutely enjoying this today. It's so good, just because everywhere up and down the country has been so hard lately, and you come here to Weston Pools and it's just a bite of chuck. Absolutely brilliant fishing for anything that swims. And I'll run you through the rig as well while I'm fishing. I haven't changed anything sort of like strength wise in hooks or lines or anything like that. I'm still fishing winter mode in that aspect. So we'll run you through what I'm fishing with. Basically my main line's 14 power micron main line. I've got a 0.4 finesse carbon matrix float. It's quite deep there, it's like 6 foot deep, so I'm fishing it with a bulk of number 9s and 2 number 10 droppers. There you go, one on the drop. It's so good, the fishing. It's another, I think that's a skimmer on the drop. But when it's so good like that, this is the perfect ground bait to feed. Just because it holds them fish in your peg. Oh, he's come off him. But it was a good skimmer. He had that on the drop. Check my maggot. Got a bit of slime on me up length. I like to get rid of that slime off me up length. Just make sure everything's clean. Anything that's on your hook, make sure your maggot's nice and fresh still on the hook. But yeah, my main line's 014 power micron, a 0.4 finesse carbon matrix float, down to an 010 up length and an 18s prototype hook, sorry. They're out very soon by Matrix. The good hooks as well, so hopefully you all enjoy them when they come out. I think they'll sell really well because they're really good hooks. And I've got it shotted as a bulk and 2 droppers, a bulk of number 9s and 2 number 10 droppers. Very simple. 2 number 8 bat shots and a bit of a longer lash from me pole tip from me float to me connector. Just so it's a bit windy today. It's not actually catching the lake, but I can feel it catching my pole a little bit. So you can hold on to them back shots and just keep everything stable and in line. Now I've gone for a sort of it is a soft elastic, but it has got a bit of backbone in it as well, just because, like I say, we're fishing for anything that swims here today. So if you hook a carp or an F1, because there's all sorts in this lake, it's got the power to angle it. That's the 6 to 8 orange slick, and it's so soft as well, you'll not lose your skimmers and things like that. So it's just a really good mix for a mixed bag of fish elastic. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to get another bite. But what I have noticed today, why I've been fishing this, is you'll put a little nugget of the F1 Dark in, you'll get a run of like 3 or 4 skimmers, and then it'll sort of go quiet. You'll go in and you'll catch a roach, and then you'll go in again, catch another roach. That is a telltale sign that you need to just top it up, add another little nugget, try and draw them skimmers in, like I say, back into your peg. Or even like now, if you're waiting too long for a bite, I'm already thinking in the back of my mind I need to top it up again, just add a little bit of F1 Dark. But it's good sport. Like I say, everywhere has been hard the last few months over the winter time, but it has started to pick up the temperature now, and there is a lot of feeding fish in this lake. Just keep loose feeding a few maggots over it as well. I try and loose me feed me maggots slightly back from my pole where I'm fishing, because obviously that's where I'm feeding my ground bait, and you're fishing just past all that feed. I think this is probably one of the longest I've waited for a bite, this. I'm sure it'll go under. Oh, there we go. That didn't take too long, did it? It's another skimmer as well. What a day. Just nice to catch everything that swims. Just get bites consistently. I really enjoy that. I enjoy catching skimmers, to be fair. I just like the way they fight, and it's just nice when you got one. He's a good one, him. He's like near a pound skimmer. There is a lot of them there in my peg. This lake must be rammed with them. He's a nice fish. He's a lovely skimmer. I'm going to hold him up to show you. He is a really nice skimmer. Maybe that's why it took a little bit longer to get that bite then, because there's a bigger fish in my peg. Look at him. What a beauty. Lovely Jack's Pool skimmer. Not a mark on him. They probably hardly ever get caught, to be honest with you. But it's absolutely solid with him. I think they don't do silverfish matches on this lake, but I think they should do. It's brilliant. But yeah, that's it. What we're doing today is just feeding. Just showing you how you need to step up your ground baits for the time of year that you're fishing. I'll be like I say, probably won't use that crushed expander again now till the winter time. I'll either use this F1 Dark for this type of fishing, and then for all my proper commercial carp fishing, I'm a match method mix man. Me, I absolutely love that during the summer months. That has got loads of food content in it. That match method mix. That's when you've got big carp and F1s feeding in your peg. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant ground bait. But like I say, this session today is just all about catching anything that swims and using the F1 Dark. And it's working wonders, to be honest with you. Again, just loose feed a few maggots. Try and flick your rigging as well. I always try and flick it past my pole tip. Let it all come back onto obviously your marker in a nice tight line, and just read your float. And then once it's settled in your fishing, just be patient. There you go. Another skimmer again. What a day. This is what it's all about sometimes. Just catching anything that swims. And for me, definitely that F1 Dark works wonders for it. It's my go-to ground bait. Look, they're like peas in a pod. He's slightly smaller, but it's all the same fish. It's one a chuck. It's absolutely solid with him. Beautiful fishing. And like I say, I'm doing this now, so I don't need to do anything different. I've just had, what if I had 2 or 3 skimmers, one after another. As I explained, until I feel like it starts to fade away. We'll see, we'll keep fishing now and we'll see what happens. I might go in now and catch a roach and go back in and catch another roach. And if that is the case, then I'll show you how I top it up a little bit. Let's have another go till I catch a smaller stamp fish. And then I'll show you how I actually top my peg up. I think loose feeding's really important as well, just because you're making that extra bit of noise as well when you're loose feeding with your maggots, drawing fish into your peg that way as well. But again, sometimes loose feeding's not ideal, so you've got to try and work out on the day as well, because you can sort of bring them off the bottom when you're loose feeding sometimes. I'm hoping actually I'll go in now and catch a small fish for us. It's another skimmer. It's just solid with him. How good. It might be an F1 this. Could be a chub actually. There's chub in this lake as well. It's a better fish. I think it might be a chub this. Just solid. Brilliant fishing. And that's what I like about it as well. You do not know what you've got on the hook here. It's a proper mixed bag. I think it's a chub, but I'm only guessing. Could be a stocky F1. Could be a big skimmer. Could be a perch. We're soon going to find out, unless he falls off. Oh, what is it? Is it an F1? It is an F1. First F1 of the day, that. Look at him, he is a beauty. I'll just hold this up for Jakey boy. Let's put that down, get him the right way so you can see him. Oh, he's a little slippery one, look at him. Hey, he's a beauty. Let's get him in the net. Fantastic fish. But that just shows you do not know what you're going to catch next. Brilliant fishing. I don't feel like I need to change anything, just keep doing the same thing. What I'm going to do is, if I do keep catching, before we actually sign off the video, I'm just going to show you how I top up, because it'd be nice to see how we actually top it up. Flick that rig past again, just feed like 10 to 12 maggots while your rig's coming through the water. And then let everything catch up and you're fishing then. Missed a bite then. That was a fish on the drop. That could have been a small fish. I want to catch a small fish now just so I can show you how I top up. I'm going to do it anyway next chuck after this. It'll not do it any harm. There's a lot of feeding fish there today. A small fish. There we go, little fish. Now I'm going to show you now how I top up, because I think it's important to show you this. Just get him in. Oh, there's a little perch. Had him on the drop. Just a little dinky perch. Nice fish. Little beauty. Right, I'll show you how I top up. So if you can imagine now, you've been fishing away. You've had a run of 3, 4, 5 skimmers, and then you catch small fish. You go in again, you catch another small fish. Like I said to you, I've said a few times in this video, that's my telltale sign that I need to top it up a little bit. So how I top it up is, now my cupping kit's a little bit, I've got my cupping kit's a little bit shorter because I said to you I feed it just back from where I'm actually fishing. So my cupping kit's about, it's the length of, I've actually cut it back, my cupping kit's the length of my dolly but shorter. So I'm fishing a full dolly butt back. I'm going to feed it a full dolly butt back, but I'm fishing a full dolly butt past where I'm feeding. But this is how I top it up. So basically, let's get this in between my legs so you can see. I'll add a couple, like, I feel like they're eating the maggots really well. So I'll add a few maggots, 4 or 5 maggots like that, get it into there. Nice little sort of squeeze, not too hard, like that, just like a little nugget like that. Pop it in your pot like that and just pop that in. Now, what I think is important as well, I'm feeding it as a little nugget today because I've had a plumb of my peg as well, and my peg's really, really hard on the bottom. It's not very silty. Now, if I went to a venue where it was really silty, I'd definitely think about feeding it loose, just because sometimes on some venues that are really silty, you can feed them balls of ground bait and they sort of hit, when they hit the bottom and if they've not broke up, they sort of like, I feel like they bed into the silt. So you'd have to feed it loose then. But today here at Weston, like I say, it's rock hard on the bottom. So I'm just feeding it as soft little nugget. It's hard in this wind now. The wind's definitely getting up. Just take your time though, because you don't want your bait fall out your pot, because you'll have bait all over your peg then. So get to on your marker. That's important as well. Make sure you pick a marker on the far bank and pot it in on your marker. As I said, my cupping kit's a little bit shorter, so this bait's going in the length of a dolly butt back from where I'm fishing, and literally just pot that in on your marker. And it's as simple as that, really. Now, you might go back in and wait a little while now. You might not do, it might be an instant impact, but sometimes you'll go in and wait 5-10 minutes and then get that run of fish again. But that's how I do it. So that, just wanted to show you that that's how I top my peg up with it, really. But I'm going to go straight back in and see if we can finish this video off with one more nice skimmer for you. Again, single maggot. I've tried double maggot today, to be fair. It worked, but I feel like when I put single maggot on, that was a lot better. Do you know what was happening to me was when I was fishing double maggot earlier, I was losing a few. So I thought I'll try single maggot, just a little bit more up point showing. And that seemed to work a treat. I've not lost as many fish now. I think with them type of fish as well, skimmers and small fish, you are going to lose a few because they've got soft lips. They're not hard like F1s and carp. So you are going to lose a few fish. But when you're getting days like this where there's a lot of fish in your peg, I suppose it doesn't really matter because you can just go back in and catch another. But let's hope we can finish this off now on a nice skimmer for us. So I've just topped that peg up then. Loose feed a few maggots. There we go. This is another F1 this. It's a nice fish whatever it is anyway. This will be doing nicely if I get this in. We can finish the video off on this one. I like this elastic. Really nice. I think it's another F1. It is. Nice F1. That'll do nicely for us. As you can see, since we've been doing the video, we've had a right mixed bag of fish. We've had perch, F1s, skimmers. Look at him. He's another beauty. All the fishing here are beauty. He's proper nailed that him as well. Finally disgorge it. There we go. So I hope you've learnt a few things from that little video. It's just a rough and ready video for YouTube, but I think people prefer that more on the bank type of thing. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it.